Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy, Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida, too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. A ride.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic Vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. First of all, I want to start by thanking the literally thousands of people who sent their best wishes for the 33-year anniversary of my marriage to Nidia Bertrand de Espinosa Stone, a fiery Cuban American who has been my life's partner, who stood with me through both thick and thin, who would encourage me when I was discouraged, particularly during the witch hunt that was waged against me, in which I was pressured unbelievably to offer false testimony against President Donald Trump. And when I refused to do so, I was framed with process crimes, while the judge withheld from me, my wife, and my defense attorneys exculpatory evidence that proved that I was not involved in Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime for that matter. That's what Robert Mueller conceded in his final report, long redacted and hidden from me and my lawyers, but ultimately released based on the orders of a federal judge. Through all of that, my wife was my rock. She's an extraordinarily strong and kind woman, and I want to thank many who sent their best wishes. We both very much appreciate it. I should say that she has survived aggressive stage 4 cancer, specifically non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She underwent a combination of traditional treatments and also a number of alternative treatments. She did ultimately lose all of her beautiful hair due to a short course of chemotherapy. Then she decided chemotherapy was not for her, but she faced that with bravery and faith. And she is now 4 years cancer-free. Thank you, Jesus. Meanwhile, of course, Honduran politics continue to dominate the news. Obviously, with President Donald Trump ratcheting down the pressure on Venezuela's narco-Marxist dictator Nicolas Maduro. At the same time, he issued a full and complete presidential pardon to former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was convicted in the United States of drug trafficking. Some critics, many leftists and Democrats, are saying this is hypocritical. No, I say it's not, and here's why. If anyone will examine the case against Juan Orlando Hernandez that was waged immediately after his presidency, you will see that he was framed using the exact same kind of tactics that were used against President Trump in New York and by Jack Smith. I mean, examine this case and you will see that Juan Orlando Hernandez, who signed the extradition treaty with the United States when Trump was president, and who cracked down on the narco traffickers, was convicted essentially solely on the testimony of 3 convicted drug traffickers, all of whom had long prison sentences, all of whom had been prosecuted by under the administration of Juan Hernandez in return for get out of jail free cards. So this was a politically motivated prosecution designed to clear the way for what the Biden administration preferred, a more, shall we say, progressive regime. And it put in place the government of Xiomara Castro, who is aligned with Venezuela and Cuba as not only in terms of narco trafficking, but also oppressing the people of Honduras. So, yes, after studying this case extensively, I did pass a compelling letter from the former president of Honduras to President Trump, who made the ultimate decision. For this act of justice, I was paid absolutely zero. Even though Adam Schiff now wants to investigate me, there's nothing to investigate. I have a constitutional right to make my own decisions. I was paid nothing for this. But I did so because it is right and just. It did have an immediate impact on the elections in Honduras, which were 2 Sundays ago, but which we still do not have a final result. I find that extraordinary. It appears that Nasri Tito Asfura, the candidate formerly endorsed by Donald Trump, leads with 1,407,841 votes at the end of the last count. That's 39.43%. Salvador Nasrallah, who's quite loud, was second, but he had 1,355,826 votes for 37.97% of the vote. But the most interesting here is that the candidate of Libra, the candidate of the narco-Marxist, Rixi Moncada, really got trounced at 18.79%. Now, for some reason, the CNA, the Central Counting Authority in Honduras, seems to be dragging out this count, and that is always suspicious. Frankly, I believe that Nasrallah, who's the former vice president under Xiomara Castro, but then decided to break off and run for president himself, I've thought from the beginning, based on his record and some interactions in his past with the narco traffickers, that he was put in the race as what we in New York would call a ringer, someone who would siphon votes from Tito Asfura. I've said this in a number of commentaries. I'm constantly being attacked on the basis of interference. Why are you interfering in this election? Well, it's my hemisphere. That's why. And I don't want communism in Venezuela, nor do I want it in Honduras, nor do I want it in Cuba, where my wife's people come from. And this needs to be watched very carefully. Needless to say, Libra, the pro-Marxist left-wing party, has called for the election to be voided, and they want a new election, but that's how they lost. Nasrallah keeps insisting he won, but there's no count that shows that he has won. And at this point, the candidate endorsed by President Trump appears to be well poised to take office. This is a good thing. We need an administration in Honduras that will work closely with the United States to stop the flow of deadly drugs into the United States. Meanwhile, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, is very offended, because Donald Trump called him a retard. What's the definition of a retard? That's somebody who lost $1 billion of taxpayers' money in a Somali fraud. And that's precisely what we are finding out. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is facing renewed fire as the Feeding Our Futures fraud case, as it's known. That's what federal prosecutors called it. They also say it's the single largest COVID relief scam in the U.S. history, roaring back into the spotlight in 2025 with fresh indictments, decades-long prison sentences, and an explosive now 2021 audio of Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison promising to look into complaints from fraud-leaked individuals in exchange for political support. And his campaign letter took $10,000 from the people perpetrating the scam. What began as a $250 million child nutrition scam has now been revealed as the flagship piece of billion-dollar-plus fraud across Minnesota's pandemic social programs, but it involves more than 78 defendants, almost all of whom are from the state's Somali community, who used fake invoices for non-existent meals to fund luxury cars, real estate, overseas transfers. And here is the most troubling part. Much of this money, U.S. taxpayer money, $250 million plus, went to the terrorist al-Shabaab organization back in Somalia. Yes, you heard me right. Walsh's name first emerged in the national spotlight, I guess it was late 22, during the George Floyd riots, when his delayed National Guard deployment actually allowed 3 days of arson and looting, killing 2 people, causing over $500 million in damage, and destroying several over 1,500 buildings, predominantly minority-owned businesses, interestingly, along Lake Street in Minnesota. Who can forget Tim Walsh's wife saying that she opened the doors so she could smell Minnesota burning, and it was comforting to her. These are hardcore leftists. Why they never looked more closely at Tim Walsh when he was selected as the vice presidential nominee for Kamala Harris is a bit of a mystery. We do know that the front runner for that was Pennsylvania Governor Ron Shapiro. Shapiro was way out front until Barack Obama himself interceded with Kamala Harris, based on my sources, and told her that Josh Shapiro would cost Kamala the Muslim vote in both Michigan and Minnesota, which is a very, very substantial part of the Democrat base. So the rush was on to find a running mate with Shapiro because of his Jewish heritage eliminated, and they ended up with Tim Walsh. I understand that they offered it first to the governors of Tennessee and, the governor of North Carolina, but he was not going there. In the meantime, I think this scandal really should be the end of Tim Walsh. The Feeding Our Future scandal is only the tip of the iceberg. State and federal probes now estimate over $1 billion in total fraud across Minnesota's entire pandemic child nutrition programs. This amount represents fraud in Medicaid, autism services, and housing programs combined. All this happened with the full knowledge of Tim Walsh, who did nothing whatsoever. Critics point to a pattern of misrepresentation by Walsh himself, who from falsely presenting himself as a retired command sergeant major, so he lied about his rank in the military, something J.D. Vance was nice enough not to bring up in the debates. He also lied about being a basketball coach. He lied about being in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square fiasco. He misstated his children's conception via IVF rather than IUI. He touts budget surpluses that were largely one-time federal bailouts. I mean, this guy is a real piece of work, and he has the nerve, the way he jumps around, he has the nerve to say that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are weird. Please give me a break. And then you have Keith Ellison, Minnesota's first Muslim attorney general. He was elected amid broad and widespread claims of sexual harassment and abuse, but he was elected anyway and overwhelmingly blew Minnesota. That was November 2018, after 12 years as a U.S. congressman. He is the state's top law enforcement official, oversees civil rights enforcement, consumer protection, and legal representation of the state. Therefore, one has to wonder how much did he know and when did he know it about this $1 billion theft of the taxpayers' money. One thing you can bet, Tim Walsh will not be running for president. Of that you can be sure. But he is typical of the new Democratic Party, the old Democratic Party of John Kennedy and Harry Truman. That party no longer exists. And in its place, we have the party of AOC and Bernie Sanders and Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar. That is the new Democrat Party, and sadly, the Democrat Party of the future. That's why Republicans who keep saying to me, "Oh, we're going to lose the 2026 elections. We're going to lose the White House in 2028." In politics, a week is a lifetime. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to the Stone Zone, and we'll be right back.
This shrimp and coconut sauce is divine. What's your secret?
Goya coconut milk.
How does it taste so good?
It's all in that real coconut flavor and that rich, creamy texture.
What about thickeners and added sugars?
None. Just smooth, coconutty goodness.
What can I make with it?
From curries to sweet treats like coconut flan, the possibilities are endless.
Goya coconut milk. Take your cooking to the next level. No question about it. Find it in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Hi, it's Eva Longoria, and let's be real. After 40, we should ask for more from our skincare. I swear by Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. With vitamin C, pro-retinol, and hyaluronic acid, it reduces my wrinkles, firms, and brightens. And it's not a procedure. It's just a hardworking moisturizer.
Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. Grab it today in fragrance-free or with SPF 30. Available at your local Walmart.
What if an appliance emergency didn't have to be? If your appliances suddenly decided they were done, don't stress. Best Buy has you covered with a wide variety of major appliances from trusted brands, in stock and available now. So you don't have to worry about laundry piling up, refilling the fridge, or that big dinner party you're hosting. Because Best Buy has the knowledge and expertise to get you the right appliance for your home. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back in the Stone Zone. You know, I admit that I was never much of a sports guy. I don't follow football, baseball, basketball. The only sport I ever really liked was boxing. And when Donald Trump married Marla Maples in a lavish wedding in the Plaza Hotel in New York, which Trump then owned, my wife and I were honored guests. And they had assigned seating. So you can imagine my joy when I learned that my wife and I would be seated with my favorite boxer of all time, Smokin' Joe Frazier. Who was, by the way, after I spoke to him, a pretty conservative guy and a great boxer. He and his wife were very kind, and he's always been my favorite. In college, of course, when he fought Ali, it was very easy to get a bet down on Smokin' Joe because Ali, who had avoided service in the Vietnam War, accused by some of being a draft dodger, was the favorite. This past, I guess last night, I went to the Bare Knuckles boxing competition in Hollywood, Florida. It was really extraordinary. I've been to the UFC with Donald Trump. I thought it was extraordinarily brutal. I had to look away many times. This is bare knuckle boxing, which is absolutely was sold out, 7,000 people. This is the next big thing, they tell me. So I follow boxing. I follow UFC. I think Dana White is an entrepreneurial genius, and it may soon be coming to the White House. President Trump has said that there will be UFC events at the White House in 2026 as part of America's 250th anniversary celebration. He announced that with the UFC CEO Dana White and says that White is constructing a special arena that will seat roughly 6,000 fans on the historic White House grounds. This is going to be very, very interesting to watch. I certainly want to be invited to that, but beyond that, I want to see who is going to compete. You had to be very careful while watching bare knuckle boxing that you didn't get any blood splashed on you if you were sitting ringside. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to Stone Zone. Glad to have you listening. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Jay Kelly, the new film from Academy Award nominee Noah Baumbach. George Clooney stars as an actor confronting his past and present on a journey of self-discovery, alongside Adam Sandler as his devoted manager. Critics are calling it a declaration of love to the chaotic art of filmmaking, with the Wall Street Journal praising it as a transcendent comedy drama. Jay Kelly is now playing only on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. Well, it is the season, and you're not going to want to miss this. Coming December 20th, it's Home for the Holidays with Mr. Christmas himself, Vinny Verdugno. Get ready to slay your night away with live performances, ugly Christmas sweaters, and jolly friends. Vinny Verdugno sings all your Hollywood favorites live in concert December 20th. For more information and tickets, go to theholidays2025.com. That's theholidays2025.com. My good friend Vinny is an incredible entertainer, particularly at Christmas. You're not going to want to miss this. So it is interesting to me that the Biden administration reversed a number of key decisions made in Donald Trump's first term that ended the medical establishment within government from doing what I can think were horrendous, vicious experiments on animals, on defenseless animals, experiments that I can't see having any scientific or medical merit. It just seems to me should be cruelty. I volunteered to support White Coat Labs and their project to end federal testing on dogs, cats, primates, monkeys, and President Trump ended these experiments at the Transportation Department, at the Defense Department. Unfortunately, under Dr. Fauci's suggestion, Joe Biden restored much of that, but the Trump administration has now been systematically going back and ending the abuse of defenseless animals. My wife and I have had 9 Yorkshire Terriers. We once had a Wheaton Terrier named Oscar that my wife picked up on the side of the road where he'd been hit by a car. His left leg very badly mangled. We tried to save it, but ultimately had to be amputated. Oscar got along amazingly well on 3 legs, and he lived with us to a ripe old age. So we're animal lovers, which I was glad to see that a truly ruthless faction inside the horse show world think that Biden's mistakes at USDA have left the gate open and they're ready to bolt through it. They believe confusion in Washington and misinterpretations of recent rulings means they can slip back into the shadows and continue to conduct incredibly cruel practices against horses that they practiced for half a century. For more than 50 years, some in the horse racing industry have predicted this one brutal formula: chemical burns, chains, pressure shoes, stacks, weights, agony engineered to force the grotesque high-stepping big lick movement that wins ribbons, prestige, and big money, but which tortures poor animals, specifically horses. A torture kit masquerading as a tradition, if you ask me. Now, Congress outlawed all of this barbarism way back on December 9th, 1970, when President Donald Trump signed the Horse Protection Act into law. That was exactly 55 years ago. Only 6 years later, President Gerald Ford moved to strengthen it, calling the practices we're talking about here inhumane and heinous, then warned that the industry that refused to police itself, Washington, would. These were Republican presidents standing tall for animal rights. The industry, of course, ignored them. Washington let this issue drift, followed by decades of industry-controlled inspectors who looked the other way, while show horses at racehorses were subjected to chemical burns, festered under layers of saran wrap and showering polish, showing extraordinary pain, where dogs flail their equipment-draped legs in the air as if walking on hot coals. This is a horrific thing to see. If you're a horse fan, you know what I'm talking about. Half a century is now passed, and this cruelty continues. The only thing that's changed is the sophistication of the cover-up of it and the aggressiveness of the political machinery protecting it. Darker, slicker, more deeply embedded and influencing insider games, those in the show horse and racehorse industry continue these cruel practices. And now the same faction is attempting to twist the present moment into a false narrative that they're finally free to do all these things again. But the truth of it, any veterinarian who has seen a horse's raw, blistered pasterns knows, every former trainer who escaped the racket knows it, even members of Congress who pretend otherwise know it. The USDA tried to break this cycle in 2024 when it issued a long overdue update to the House Protection Act regulation. Predictably, Biden's team botched that rollout. But the core reform was the first serious update, actually, in decades. It ended industry self-policing and created a federally overseen cadre of independent inspectors. That rule also included bans on stacked shoes and leg chains long tied to sores for the horses, oozing sores. The industry responded with more lawsuits. In Texas, a federal judge struck down the device bans on procedural grounds, but not because USDA lacked the authority and not because of it is illegal, but because the wrong administrative process was used. Outrageous. So they never addressed the actual question. To me, it is an absolute outrage that this kind of animal abuse continues to exist. And I'm very hopeful that the Trump administration will do something about it. Otherwise, it's the swamp in its purest form, the barnyard swamp in this case. Donald Trump has a strong history, however, of protecting animals, as I said, in his first term, and I think that he will do so. Meanwhile, guys who are always attacking me on social media, the Vindman brothers, you may remember them. They were front and center in the Ukrainian collusion hoax when one of them reported an overheard phone conversation that would have been classified as the basis for an effort to impeach Donald Trump. In fact, what we now know, based on declassified CIA documents, is that impeachment was actually offensive and defensive. What they really wanted to hide was the fact that Joe Biden had tried to hold up the Ukrainians for $1 billion in aid, getting them to fire the prosecutor who's investigating his son Hunter Biden in the Burisma scandal. But these two identical brothers, one of them is now in the Congress. They, I think, are guilty of seditious conspiracy at a minimum. Alexander Vindman and Yevgeny Vindman, identical twins born in the Soviet Ukraine in 1975, arrived in this country as toddlers and grew into two of the most self-impressed bureaucrats to ever contaminate the White House National Security Council. They were not titans of strategy. They were not visionaries. They were glorified staffers with inflated egos, and they lied to create a national emergency. The Ukraine hoax refers to belief now widely held that the first impeachment, President Trump in 2019, was not a pursuit of justice, but, as I say, a political intervention crafted by bureaucratic malcontents. Adam Schiff lied repeatedly about whether the so-called whistleblower who had approached him had been coached to come forward or whether he had met with them. We now know in retrospect that he did. We also know, based on a report by the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, that Senator Adam Schiff and his sidekick, Eric Swalwell, who's just been busted for mortgage fraud, at least publicly, repeatedly leaked classified documents in order to frame Donald Trump, to put him in a negative light. That is, of course, against the law, but neither one of them has been prosecuted. The Vindman brothers are no different. I think that they essentially fabricated their claims. The Senate ultimately acquitted the president because the allegations by these twin brothers were essentially incoherent. But they now are part and parcel of the new seditious six operation, in which former CIA operatives or those tied to them have stepped forward to urge our men and women in uniform, those in our armed services, to ignore orders by the Commander-in-Chief if such orders are illegal or unconstitutional, yet they have been unable to identify any such orders. This is led by Senator Slotkin of Michigan. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona has the support of the Vindman brother, who's in the Congress. I find it troubling that Slotkin is a former CIA operative who worked for John Brennan, and that only 2 weeks before a National Guardsman was shot and killed in Washington, D.C., she predicted this would happen. So I think these people are creating the backdrop for some kind of false flag operation, some kind of national emergency, which they can blame on Donald Trump. They can't accept the results of the last election. My good friend General Michael Flynn calls it a color revolution. Meanwhile, after a federal grand jury declined to indict Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, and much controversy about that because it was a documents case, Lindsay Halligan, who had been appointed the interim U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, where James was charged, went before a grand jury. The media excoriated her, said that she was inexperienced, said that she was a beauty queen because she's quite attractive, described her as, quote unquote, an insurance lawyer, when in fact she was the partner in a major Florida law firm where she oversaw their entire civil division. And she was an expert specifically on mortgage law and real estate law. She went before the grand jury and was able to secure an indictment, yet a prosecutor designated by the Department of Justice failed to do so. As my guest, Sam Antar, said on my show, this is a documents case. This is not a complicated case. Either Letitia James made sworn statements under oath that contradict the truth and contradict each other, or she did not. Anyone who goes to whitecollarfraud.com can see the actual documents themselves. So in the wake of that, and a growing question as to whether Adam Schiff will be prosecuted in Maryland, even though he's also, based on publicly available documents that anyone with a laptop and half a brain can get, he clearly lied about his principal residence and gets an advantageous tax break, advantageous mortgage rate, advantageous insurance rate by doing so. If his principal legal residence is in Maryland, as he says, then how is he eligible to run for office in California? Although he does keep a small apartment in Burbank, which is more than you can say for his compatriot Eric Swalwell, who has no residence at all in California, which is clearly required under California law. But rather than worry about his congressional seat, Eric Swalwell is now running for governor in a state he doesn't live in. It leads to the broader question that those who support Donald Trump and love him ask me every single day. Will those who openly plotted and broke the law and violated the Constitution in an effort to get Trump, keep him off the ballot, destroy his chances for the greatest comeback in American history? We're talking about Barack Obama, Joe Biden, CIA Director John Brennan, FBI Director James Comey, National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Senator Adam Schiff, Special Counsel Robert Mueller, former federal prosecutor Andrew Weissman. the Vindman brothers. Will these people be held accountable? Will justice be served in their cases? Or will the Justice Department not do that? I think the American people want to see justice. This isn't about revenge and retaliation. That's the Democrats' talking points. They're the ones who weaponize the criminal justice system. I take it from me. I had a ringside seat in that. But the question people are now asking is, Pam Bondi going to bring charges against those individuals? I pray that the answer is yes. We were heartened when Fox reported recently, days ago, that subpoenas had gone out to Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, the FBI lovers, as well as former CIA Director John Brennan. Yet we have no reports of grand jury proceedings, and we don't know whether justice will be done. If not, I think it will be very hard for Republicans to rally the base for the 2026 election, because the American people have been promised justice and accountability in what was the greatest single dirty trick and abuse of power in American political history. We shall see. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to The Stone Zone. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial or continue to listen to us online, because we'll be right back.
How do I do it all during the holidays? 4 words. Shipped same day delivery. With Shipped, I can order groceries from Albertsons, decor from Michael's, even gifts for my furry friend from PetSmart. Plus, my personal shopper brings everything I need that same day. That makes it a breeze to decorate, get my shopping done, and make time for all the holiday parties. Do it all this holiday season with Shipped. Download the app or visit Shipped.com. That's SHIPT.com.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Every leap in American history has needed breakthrough energy.
Ignition, liftoff.
Now, AI is here, and Chevron is working to power it. We're aiming to develop multi-gigawatt power plants near data centers, designed with future pathways to lower carbon intensity. AI gets the power it needs, communities get the jobs, and the grid stays strong. Powering AI today builds America's next superpower.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi has now directed the Justice Department and the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force to step up investigations into Antifa and other far-left extremist groups following President Trump's move to formally designate Antifa as a terrorist organization both inside the United States and overseas. These are not peaceful protesters. These are people who sow mayhem, violence, destruction of public and private property, and death. A memo issued by Bondi instructs federal prosecutors to dig into possible domestic terrorism offenses, including tax-related crimes, and to re-examine existing case files for intelligence already in government's hands. I really thought that the president should have taken more forceful action in 2020 when Antifa and BLM burned down a full quarter of the country, doing millions of dollars of damage to public and private property, injuring thousands and killing a number of Americans. I think that was a test. The president ultimately decided to let the governors decide whether they would mobilize the National Guard, and governors like Tim Walz did not do so. I think that was in some ways a test by the left to see how Trump would respond. Now you see Trump on what I have to call a wartime footing. He understands the danger of Antifa and others that who are well-funded, who sow mayhem, and he has not hesitated to mobilize the National Guard when the situation gets out of control, such as Washington, D.C., where crime is down 40%, or Portland. The left is pushing back in places like Chicago, where J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson will not let the Chicago Police Department come to the aid of those who are threatened, those ICE agents who are threatened while performing their duties. So this is very welcome news. I think we're going to find when it's all over that many of these activities advocating violence and color revolution and other anti-Trump activities were funded with your tax dollars out of USAID. I think Elon Musk deserves enormous credit for identifying this and documenting it. Pam Bondi now claiming correctly that Antifa adherents use violence and intimidation to advance a radical political goal, from open borders and anti-police activism to anti-Christianity and other anti-American ideology. So the president has tasked the vice president, J.D. Vance, as well as his deputy White House chief of staff for policy, Stephen Miller, and the FBI into examining all of these terrorist links and cutting off the money to those who are threatening America. This is music to my ears. I think the president has pledged to be a law and order president, and now he must do so. But this is going to be much more difficult than many people think. They are very, very deeply embedded. We're talking about millions of dollars. If you examine the Mamdani campaign, for example, and how it was funded, not by grassroots small donors, but by an interlocking collection of nonprofits, 501c3s, 501c4s, political parties, all controlled by those on the far left, shifting money back and forth illegally, you see what we're up against in terms of the funding by the left to their efforts to undermine the duly elected president of the United States. That would be Donald J. Trump. All right, we have to leave it there. I want to thank you for joining us today in the Stone Zone right here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. And until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.